I want to talk about the Streamer Games event, which just ended. Spoilers. Extra Emily's team won in the end, and overall, it kind of felt like everyone won. From a viewing perspective, the people who were there live seemed like they had a lot of fun, and all the streamers, I feel like at least most streamers, got to showcase themselves in a pretty positive light. Like everyone played their role really well as a viewer. I felt I didn't feel like anyone was like a villain. There were people who are like villains within the context of certain events, but overarching plotline wise, like everyone was fun to watch and root for. Like overall, I was always enjoying watching the games and stuff. So I think it was a great event, and I want to talk about what an event like that means to me as like someone who wants to make interesting things. Hopefully one day. It's very inspiring to see the scale of event that that was put on, and like the way that everything's put together. Like logistically, obviously it's super complicated, and I'm almost sure they're like losing money on that stuff. Obviously, they get a lot of eyes on them. Ludwig gets a lot of eyes on him by throwing stuff like this. But the event itself seems like it's losing money. Like the production was absurd. I know they sold live tickets, and it seems like it sold pretty well, but I can't imagine that this was something that was put on to make money, which is part of what makes it so cool. Because I feel like this was like a huge additive force to the internet, to Twitch especially. Like being able to log in and watch this, and for all the competitors, being able to add so much variety and so much like humanity and interaction with others to their content. Um, it was awesome. I really enjoyed watching that event. And as I mentioned, yeah, I'd say inspiration is the word I take from it. Of it makes me want to be someone who can bring such grandeur, like something large and eventful and not really momentous. I think it was just like kind of to some degree. It's felt like one event of many. Like there'll be another event like this in the future. It wasn't like the best event ever, but just the existence of the event as like a mark the date on your calendar. This is going to be the streamer. This weekend's going to be streamer games. Tune in, and the fact that it was like actually very well executed and pretty seamless. Again, as I mentioned, like a lot of sportsmanship, a lot of fun to watch, a great variety of events. It feels like they really like learned a lot of lessons also from last year in terms of balance, organization, settling disputes and rules, like being very clear about rules beforehand. And obviously some people will always be mad about losing, and it's inevitable that people will have complaints, like competitor wise. But I think logistically the event was cool. As an entertainer, I think the event was awesome. It's I'm just really a fan of how Ludwig seeks to spice up the scene and throw things that you know aren't aren't for money, that are for the sake of having fun events. Like that the event was for its own sake. It was for the sake of having a fun event where people could compete in interesting games. Um, so yeah, it's just super novel. It's something I'd love to compete in the future. Maybe we'll make that like a 2026 goal. That's I have 0 subscribers on this channel and 600 on my other, so maybe we call it a 2027 goal. But I think it's the type of thing that I would love to be someone who could throw events like that. I would love to be someone who participates in events like that, in terms of the fun they bring to competitors and viewers. I think is the main thing that I think of when I try to think of ideas on what I can present, what I can produce. It obviously, I maybe not obviously, but in my opinion, I do think the consumer, the viewer, the audience kind of comes first. Um, in many ways, especially when it comes to streaming and online content and art like painting, music. I think it can be more personal, and sometimes you're making it for yourself, but I think making it for others is very valid also. But particularly for online content, I think you're tailoring it to the viewer, but then also being able to make it something that's so like joyful for the competitors and something to like look forward to again for next year is something I don't want to say envy. Like I'm not like jealous. Like anyone can do something like this, but I'm happy that someone did do it, because it is very hard. When I say anyone can do it, I mean like theoretically, like there's nothing inherent to Ludwig that allowed him to do it. It's he just had to put all the pieces together. It's very hard to do, obviously, and I'm very happy that stuff like this exists, and as I mentioned, inspired. So I kind of wanted to note this for myself look forward to events, think of stuff you can do that impacts others, both participants and viewers, both the audiences and the creators. How can you make a mark on the world like what was made this weekend? Because it was, in my opinion, very beautiful, very fun to be witness to. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the whole of my thoughts on the streamer games. Hope you guys enjoy watching it if you did, and I hope to see more cool stuff like that in the future, and hopefully make stuff like that in the future. All right,